Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of the British Boxing Blog podcast with myself, Stephen.
And me, Andrew.
We're coming again from Darlington tonight. I just drove down from work. Nobody needs to know.
Had a coffee on the way. Stop in Durham. Averaged about 45 miles to the gallon. Jesus. For those of you listening, I'm going into this. For those of you listening, we are now on 15 minutes recording. That is 15:15 of us trying to get an introduction out without pissing us out laughing.
I blame you because you made me watch Mike Parry's cinnamon challenge before the podcast, and then you expect us to sit here and seriously talk boxing after watching that idiot choke on a tablespoonful of cinnamon. Oh, what an idiot that man is.
Yeah,
anyway,
if you haven't watched that, please watch it. Just type in Twitter or YouTube, Mike Parry Cinnamon Challenge. One of the funniest videos I've ever seen.
It's brilliant, but this is why we've sat here laughing for 15 minutes and done numerous outtakes. Honestly, it's been brilliant, but frustrating at the same time. But here we are in Darlington, again on this Monday night, doing the British Boxing Blog podcast, episode 5. Nice to be here. You had a good weekend? You good?
I have, yeah. So I caught a little bit of boxing on Friday night. I know you were at a gig.
I was at Kasabian at the arena, which was very good. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend Matt Jobs' and Steve Wraith's sort of joint promotion at Scotswood Social Club, but I know you were there with your girlfriend, and you had... He's a romantic, this fella. Yeah.
Official photographer now, she's wanting a commission.
And I know you were full of praise for it, and you had a good night. So we'll start from that. I think we should always give sort of precedence to live action, especially live action that we've been to. So
yeah, definitely, especially live action in the local area for us that we've been to. It was at the Scotswood Centre in Denton. I think Denton Road it's on.
Yeah.
And so we were there a few months ago now, I think, for Matt Jobs when he sort of announced that he'd managed to get the Scotswood Club as a venue. And he had a little open day and there was some of his lads sparring, so it was nice to see them from there progress to a couple of them making their debuts on the card. So it was mainly a card built up of the boxers from Job's gym. There was another lad on there from boxing out of East Durham College, Tom Hill.
Davy Binns, fella.
Yeah, Davy Binns was in the corner, and Tom brought up quite a few fans from Redcar actually.
I did see that on Twitter. It seemed like he brought good numbers, which is great actually.
He did, and I'd actually seen Tom's debut as well at Hartlepool Borough Council. Is it the town hall there?
Borough Hall,
Borough Hall, sorry.
Right,
And he looked a bit more composed, I think, on Friday night. He was boxing. He's quite a tall lad for his weight, and he seemed happy to keep James Gorman on the end of his jab.
Belfast James Gorman.
Yeah, there were a few from that gym. Actually spoke with Alec Bazar at the end as well. Had a little bit of an interview with him. So.
They often brought over here, aren't they, to the North East? There were a few of them was on the St James's show as well.
Casey Blair was there as well. So
of
there
course.
was like them all out of the same gym. And again, the good test for anyone. I know we sing the praises of sort of the journeyman and the opponents quite a bit, but they deserve it because they're no mugs. They're not going to give anyone an easy night. They're not just there to cover up. They can box a bit as well.
No, of course. I remember watching Gorman against Jeff Saunders, and he was fine. He's fine. He was tidy enough, but obviously, I guess he knows why he's there. But
yes, this one was at welterweight. So Gorman, I know, obviously fluctuates between those sorts of weights. And as I say, Hill boxed really well. He was a lot more composed. And speaking to Davy Binns afterwards, he basically confirmed that. He says he was a lot happier with him, how patient he was, and he wasn't rushing in. Whereas on his debut, I think he was looking for that one shot, that one knockout. His nickname is One Bomb. Yeah. And he was looking for that quite a lot in Hartlepool. Whereas last night he was, as I say, a bit more patient, happy to go the distance, picking his shots, and obviously his trainer was delighted with that one.
It's not a name I'm too familiar with. I've never seen him, but by all accounts, he was good on Friday. I've seen a couple of positive remarks on Twitter about him, and Davy Binns doesn't really train any bad fighters at all, does he? They all, he trains a lot of good fighters. How is Dave? More positive after the Glenfoot?
He says the gym's buzzing.
To be honest, he's always positive. I just mean,
Yeah, he says the gym's buzzing. Obviously, he mentioned Warren Baster as well, recently retiring.
Such a shame that.
He says all the lads are absolutely gutted for that. He says Warren's such a lovely lad, but also a talent, and at cruiserweight in Britain at the minute, you've got obviously a Coley and Chamberlain link to fight, and Baster could have been right in that mix. So it is a bit of a shame that it's obviously been forced into retirement
And
very prematurely.
Your video interview with Dave will be online shortly, yeah?
Yeah, there's a couple actually, as I say. I spoke to Alec Bazza, Dave Binns, Connor Somerville, who made his debut on the card as well. Got a little quick word with him, and Chrissy Atkinson, actually, the two debutants.
Tell me about the debutants, Connor and Chrissy.
So,
how are they?
Connor Somerville opened the show in a super featherweight bout against Alec Bazza.
Yeah.
He started really, really well. He was tidy, quick. Again, it's hard to sort of judge, and you don't want to put too much pressure on.
No, of course, no.
By the third round of the scheduled 4, he looked like he was tiring a bit to me, and he was happy to sort of sit, especially towards the end of the round, happy to sit with his back on the ropes. And you think, okay, was he struggling or anything? Is he taking a heavy shot? But he came out in the 4th and followed a similar pattern, but didn't look particularly hurt or anything. And then speaking with him afterwards, he openly came out and said that he was nowhere near as fit as he wanted to be and that he should have been and stuff.
Did he mention why that was?
He didn't specify, to be honest. I think whether possibly it's come a little bit earlier than expected for him, but he says obviously he's straight back in the gym after that one and looking to improve and get his fitness up. But I suppose it's one of those things. It's not necessarily before his debut. It obviously wasn't his full-time job at all. So
no, of course,
it's interesting to see that level, and it'd be interesting to see how well he does, because he did box quite tightly on occasion in there.
Yeah, I mentioned last week, and I know Matt Jobs, his trainer, and has got high hopes for him, so it's nice to see him get off to a winning start, especially in front of, his local crowd as well. And maybe adrenaline's got a part to play with it, and
that's it, he's making his debut in his hometown, in basically his home venue, really, from what it's going to be for the Jobs gym fighters. And another one, as I say, Chrissy Atkinson, he was making his debut as well, and he was a bit the opposite, to be honest. He wasn't necessarily tidy. He was really sort of absolutely delighted to be in there, just going for it. And he was winging in some shots. He took a couple as well. He took a nice left hook off Casey Blair, but kept going. Again, another one sort of won on the points. I think his was 40-37 off the top of my head. Connor won 40-36. Yeah. Tom Hill did as well, I think, and Chrissy's might have been 40-37. Again, there's a couple of sort of not necessarily close rounds in there, but a lot more competitive than some of the other bouts on the card. But Chrissy was absolute top bloke as well. He spoke to us afterwards, and he's someone I'd spoken to quite a bit at the opening day. Yeah. He's on Twitter as well. He's good crack on Twitter. Give him a follow. I'm not sure of his username off the top of my head, but I'll post it out tonight when I get in. And we'll send that out there. Yeah. Chrissy A something possibly. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll post it on Twitter when I get home tonight. But he's well worth a follow. He's as I say, really good crack with him after his bout, and sort of stood there chat with him. Aside from the video interview I did as well, and of course, another one who's just happy to sort of get his debut out of the way, as many boxers are, and look to get back in the gym and get back amongst it. It'd be nice to see them stay active, because Matt seems to have a gym now with boxers all at very sort of familiar similar stages of their career, quite early doors for most of them now. So, if they as a stable and as a gym could grow together, it could be exciting times for that gym. Yeah, definitely. Another thriving North East gym, isn't it? Well, that's the thing. Another one was Tom Walsh, who came out, and again, it's hard to excuse me. Sorry, we've both got sore throats here, by the way. So if we bear with us tonight, please. Thank you. So another one of the Jobs gym lot was Tom Walsh, and he left his opponent. I'm going to struggle with this one. David Zubzicki, who's actually from Leeds. That'll do for me. Yeah, and he left him bloodied around the nose. He landed some vicious looking body shots. Couldn't quite get him out of there, but he's 2-0. You've got the two lads that have just made the debut, like you're saying there. Mark Taylor was meant to be headlining. It's a shame for Mark Taylor, that, wasn't it? Gutted for the lad. Honestly, gutted. He's had one pro bout, so this would have been his second as well. Apparently, he had 3 opponents pull out on him, sort of late notice. And I mean, there's nothing you can do. He was in attendance. He seemed as happy as he can be, with obviously the frustration showing. But just to reiterate what you said there, there's 4 fighters with 2 or 1 pro bout under the belt now. So the fact that Matt's got this deal in place with the Scotswood Club, it's such a small little intimate venue, but it's perfect for those boxers at that stage of the career, that they can get out regularly on the same shows. Obviously you've got Matt there in the corner, it's easy for him to corner one after the other, and it just seems to make perfect sense for where they are and where the gym is and where the gym's looking to get to.
That was going to be my next question. Do you think it's obviously I'm a huge fan of it. I thought the day we went for that open sparring session, open day, was I thought, wow, this is going to be, it's going to be good. I know it's low key, it's intimate, and he stomps out there with a social club, but honestly it's fantastic, and I think it's sort of everything under one roof. You've got the local area come together, fighters, friends, family. It's easy for them, as we said, locality of the gym, rather than trying to sell tickets elsewhere or like further afield like Darlington or Durham. It's on the doorstep, and I think it's a great idea for Matt, and I think it's something that maybe other local trainers should maybe look to use, if finance dependent, and a similar model. I think it's brilliant to have, just like Steve Wraith has this Saturday. He's got Darlington fighters, we'll preview that in a minute, he's got Darlington fighters fighting in Darlington, which it's much better for them than say making a 30 mile trip up to St James's Park on say a Sunday. You know what I mean? And Darlington's buzzing at the minute again, and it's fantastic to have people fighting where they're from, and they sell more tickets certainly that way. But also just it's one of my catchphrases this, but I always say it, but Northeast boxing is stronger certainly when it works together, and it's great that Dave Binns can get one of his lads out on that show as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't too sure how that came about, so I hadn't anticipated it. I thought it was going to be solely Job's gym, but obviously just what you said there, it's a couple of promoters and trainers in the region working together, doing each other a bit of a favour, and it benefits both of them really. Matt gets another fight on there, obviously shifts a few tickets from Tom Hill's point of view. Yeah. Tom gets out another bout not long after his debut, keeps active, and it's win-win really.
Oh, it is, and you talk the same with Mal Gates as a fighter, which we'll again talk about soon on this Saturday's bill in Darlington, and you just think all cracking fellas, Mal, Matt Jobs and Davey Binns, three of the nicest guys you can meet, and especially up here in Northeast boxing, so it's great that the Northeast can work together. Just to sum it up then, was it an enjoyable night? Is it something that they would look to do again, do you think, in early next year maybe?
I think they'll definitely be doing it again, and I was just going to say earlier that we don't know obviously the specific ins and outs financially of that deal, but I think because it is a small intimate venue, it's eased the pressure on his lads to shift the tickets as well. He's not relying on each boxer selling hundreds of tickets just to sort of cover the cost of a bigger venue that in certain cases could be too big for the show that it is. So I think based on that, it was a roaring success. The place was packed. There's no reason that they can't do it again. Hopefully get Mark Taylor on. I was going to say, just to finish off the actual the running order of it, James Bonds actually headlined in place of Mark Taylor, and unfortunately for him, he was stopped in the first round by a lad, an away fighter actually making his debut, Ben Douglas, and that was fought at the light heavy limit.
It's such a shame because James is a lovely lad, and we mentioned him last week. He's got the weight off. He looked in great condition, so it's such a shame that he's headlining the show and it sort of didn't go to plan for him. Really, I'm sure he'll be absolutely devastated. I'm sure Matt will as well. But
yeah, I mean,
what happened? Tell me about it.
Well, he came out and both men sort of obviously tried to take the centre of the ring. It was actually Bonds who landed a lovely looking shot, and you sort of heard the crowd giving a bit of reaction and think, oh yeah, and it was literally within a couple of seconds Douglas had returned, countered him and dropped him. So I don't know if Bonds has thought he's landed and maybe his guard's dropped a little bit, his concentration slipped, and you weren't really sure because of the speed of it whether it was a flash knockdown or if he'd been hit like full on. I think it was a nice enough connection that did bother him, and then he was put down again, so bravely got to his feet, and Douglas then I think sensed that the end was nigh really and put it on him a bit, backed him up with the ropes, and the referee just...
Where's he from, this Douglas? I've never
it's Nottingham, I think. Right. It's again, I was speaking to a few of the people ringside and stuff, and no one was really familiar with him at all. No. And it makes you wonder or question the matchmaking. I'm not criticising at all, but you think...
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
there's always that risk with a debutant.
Well, of course, who is he?
You've got no idea. Is he good? Is he just basically turned into fighting on the road because he can't shift the tickets or whatever? But he's definitely going to be one to look out for, I think.
I did see a photo of him and he did look impressive. It's just such a shame for James, I don't like to see any North East fighter get beat, but especially as a nice fellow as James, who's, he's really lived the life, dedicated himself. If you see, I guess, before and after photos of James, he's
apparently, according to a couple of people I was speaking to, it was about 6 stone he's lost in 12 months or just over 12 months. So he's, just what you said there, he's completely embraced and fully embodied what it is to be a boxer in terms of living the life and getting himself prepared. But
it's just a devastating defeat for him at this point, and I'm sure he'll be absolutely deflated. But if he wants to come back, I'd love to see him come back, and I'm sure he's in the best hands with Matt, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. There's that.
Matt's a great. Matt thinks the world of him. I know that he's mentioned it to us before, and just let's see where he goes. Let's hopefully he'll come back in the new year and give it another shot. But it's just a shame to see any North East fighter like that, it's in front of a home crowd, get beat, unfortunately. But just to excuse me, just to say thank you to Matt. Really, I know I couldn't make it, obviously, but again, just another person that's been absolutely brilliant with us. Sort of took us under his wing and made us feel welcome at his gym. I know you did a bit of work with him for your white collar fight.
That's you mentioning that, not me.
That's me mentioning that. No, but honestly, I know we seem to say it every week, but he is a lovely fella. He's always got time for you. He made it clear to us that he would love to have us at his show, and he'd let your girlfriend go. You know what I mean?
Did I ever tell you about the gloves that he lent me?
No, he still got them.
No, I've returned them.
Right.
But basically, for the white collar, for those of you not aware or up to sort of information with it, for the sparring and stuff, you need to have 16-ounce gloves. Obviously, the bigger, heavier, padded gloves.
Yeah.
Anything less, and they won't let you spar. So I'd ordered some and I was waiting for them. And as Stephen's just mentioned there, I was training up at Job's gym, did the session with Matt. And I just happened to mention in passing, I was like, I'm still waiting for these 60 ounces. He said, I've got a pair in the cabinet over there. He says, go and get them. So I was like, alright, no bother. I was like, he got them out. And he said, look, they're signed. And I was like laughing and that, thinking, he's not going to lend us them, he's just winding us up. And so I got these gloves. One was signed by Roy Jones Jr., the other one was signed by Calzaghe.
Wow.
He was like, yeah, just use them. I was like,
is he mad?
I was thinking he's joking. Well, apparently he had them in this display case. And one day, some lad who he wouldn't name, he said, go and get kitted up, start wearing the bag. So this lad gets these gloves, these signed gloves out and starts smashing the bag. So apparently they just get used like normal gloves now.
Is his signature still visible?
It's a bit faded and that, a bit worn, but yeah, it's still there. So there's me, borrowed these gloves. First stage sparring at UWCB, Ultra White Collar Boxing. And then this lad I'm sparring said, are they signed? I was like, no, they're just fake, trying to laugh it off.
You've got Calzaghe on your left hand and Jones on your right. Brilliant. Excellent. But honestly, if anyone listening is from Newcastle or the West End, honestly, pop in and see him, and you'd see what he does, because it's more than a gym, really. He does a hell of a lot for the community, and pop in. He'd love to have you, I'm sure. And just before we finish off this section, just kudos to Steve Wraith as well. Lending his promotional expertise to Matt as well for this show. I'm sure that was greatly appreciated, because he's a week out from his own promotion in Dalton as well.
He actually got on the mic towards the end of the show and just sort of got everyone to show their appreciation for Matt.
There's a shock. He loves the mic, Steve. But no,
he wrestled it out of Matt's hand, I think, at one point.
No, that's brilliant. Good on him. And as I said, North East working together is great, and I know Steve's a big advocate of that as well. So nice one, excellent.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense then to go on to Steve Wraith's show next week in Darlington. It's doors open midday. The action's meant to get underway, I think, about 1:30 in the afternoon. So it is an early start for those of you expecting a Saturday evening.
It is an afternoon show, yeah. I know Newcastle's away at Chelsea on Saturday lunchtime, so I'll be listening to the first half of that when we drive down to Darlington for me sins.
Where do you want to start with this one then? Main event? Or
I think we'll go main event. We touched on it last week, and it's a cracking Northern Area title fight between Chrissy Wood from Darlington, who I guess is the home fighter on this, and Jamie Humble of Gateshead, who trains out of the Fighting Chance gym in Felling. Big fan of both, to be honest. I know I've banged the drum of Jamie Humble since he turned over. I guess he's a fighter that excites me a lot. But it's a great fight, and as I said, some Northern Area title fights are some of the most enjoyable fights. You never really get a bad area title fight. I know it might sound like a cliche, but you don't, because they're usually between fighters who are very well matched and in very similar stages of the career, and this one's no different, is it?
Well, this is exactly what a Northern Area title fight should be for me. You can argue it's maybe come a little bit early for both lads in terms of how many bouts they've had, and they've never gone the distance. Chris Wood would talk about him, I think the other week when I'd done the sort of video interview and I'd been in the gym and spoke to him.
I'm going to just interrupt there, but I know I said this last week, but I am going to go down and see Jamie just this week, and Lewis Pendleton and the guys at Fighting Chance, just to see how he's doing and put the finishing touches on that. So
and ensure we remain fully impartial.
Fully impartial, yes.
So I was just saying there that Chris has had 3 bouts, but he had 2 sort of a while ago, and then one
St James's Park, wasn't it?
Yeah, just as a sort of comeback. So like, it's
home of football.
It's a big step up for both, going from where they've been to being in a 10-rounder against what's on paper a fairly evenly matched opponent. I don't think there's much between the two of them. It'll be interesting. I could be proved totally wrong there. One of them could go out and dominate, but I don't see that happening really.
No, neither do I. But I think Jamie's has been more active, hasn't he? He fought very well on the Matchroom Next Gen show. I remember in Walker, he looked good that night. But I think it was his last outing, wasn't it, at St James's? He was on the same bill that day, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he stopped the guy, and I thought, well, that caught my eye that day. It was an early stoppage, and I thought, I like that, because my initial thoughts with Jamie is that he's a really, really nice, stylish switch hitter, good boxer. But did he have the ruthless streak? And he showed that day that he did, and I thought, hello. I enjoyed that. He was good that day. He's a quiet lad, Jamie, but he's a nice lad as well, and I know the team at Fighting Chance have got big hopes for him, so they'll be hoping he does the business on Saturday. But again, just big respect for both the guys who are taking the fight and everyone for putting it together, really. And as I said, Northern Area title fights are something I'm a big advocate of. And
again, what you've just said there about promoters working together, I know Steve's obviously working very closely with Fighting Chance now.
He is, yeah.
But for Fighting Chance to send their lad down to box as an away fighter, essentially, against a hometown favourite in Darlington, it shows that everyone involved is willing to take that potential risk for the sake of a better fight.
And I was just touching on the area title thing. I always remember reading Darren Barker's autobiography, which I lent you, and I know you read it on holiday as well.
It's still upstairs if you want to take it back with you.
I'll take it home, yes. Darren Barker said, he says, honestly, when I won that Southern Area title, he says, that could have been me. He says, I could have retired happily after. He says, it meant that much to him, just to be the best in his area. He said it was absolutely huge for him winning that, and I'm a huge fan. I think it's we've been treated to some good Northern Area title fights up here recently, and and I know the guys down south, there's apparently a bit of a classic at York Hall on Saturday between Camacho and Lopez, Southern Area title, and again, they never really fail to disappoint, so hopefully this Saturday it'll be no different. Actually, here's a question for you just when I'm on this. You're from Darlington, you've trained down here and you're familiar with the area. It seems to be a bit of a big buzz around Darlington boxing at the minute. Why do you think that is?
To be honest, I think it just seems to have built that little bit of momentum, and I think Stewie Hall is playing a big part of that. The fact that he's got to the world level and had the success, and there's a few lads who, I know Pete Jefferson's training Chrissy Wood. He worked closely with Stewie Hall, and Chrissy sparred with him and trained with him, and that sort of inspiration, it just takes that one figure to spark it, and figurehead, as you say, and inspire other sort of local lads to think, oh, well, actually, I could get the Northern Area title, I could get to an English title.
And I know Steve Wraith signed a few Darlington lads as well, hasn't he? And at the time I thought, because he's from our part of the world, Gated, really, isn't he, Steve? And I thought, why is he sort of branching out down here? But now, maybe a year later, it sort of makes perfect sense.
It's almost like it's been an untapped market.
Totally.
Because what you're saying there, it's a bit of a ball ache for some of the lads to try and shift the tickets and get up to St James's Park. Now for us, and for a lad from Gated or Newcastle, boxing at St James's Park would be the ultimate. It would be a massive
achievement. For someone like Neil Hepper, for example, who, say if he was fighting at St James's Park, to try and shift tickets for a Sunday afternoon.
Well, he has done, exactly that.
For a 4-rounder,
Then your mates have got to get the day off work on the Monday.
It's a 70-mile round trip or whatever, so I'm glad that it's it's at the Dolphin Centre here on Saturday in Darlington, so if anyone's local from the area and wants to come down, then by all means, there's still tickets. And as I say, first fight I believe is 1:30. I think is it 5 or 6 fight bill as well.
Yeah, I mean you mentioned Neil Hepper. He's on the card there. I'm
looking forward to seeing Neil. Yeah,
he's a decent boxer who's mixed with a few sort of high level opponents. He's been in there with Luke Campbell, and the other lad who he fought recently recently in his record escapes me. It was, I'm going to come back to it. It was someone who fought Robbie Barrett, I think. But he's been in with some decent fighters, and he's training with Jeff Saunders Senior now. He's done a lot of rounds with Jeff Saunders Junior.
Again, another gym, not maybe specifically from Darlington, maybe more Sedgefield way, but again, just another gym that's absolutely buzzing. With young Jeff and Michael Watson, and obviously they had Billy Snaith winning again another classic area title fight. Daniel Cope, Billy Snaith.
Well, you mentioned the Northern area before.
Our fight of the year, the Northeast, the British Boxing Blog Awards was Daniel Cope, Tom Whitfield. I'm just a big fan of them. It should be a great show Saturday. Unfortunately, Troy Williamson, another leading light from Darlington, an MTK fighter and a very, very good amateur, is unfortunately not on the bill anymore. But again, there is some great local talent on there as well.
Yeah, I know Terry Tyers is the one who's replacing.
Sounds like a bit of a gangster, doesn't he? Terry Tyers.
He's replacing Troy on the card, and I'm just looking at his opponent now is TBA. So
classic. Yeah.
That famous
TBA.
Yeah, that famous boxer. So he's stepped in, I think, relatively short notice. I'm going to be cutting loads of that, by the way.
It's alright.
And then Richard O'Neill is a Darlington boxer who I've seen. I think he was in the last show at the Dolphin Centre. He's another one who's again looking in the early stage of his career and looking to build a bit of momentum and make that progression up.
Is Carl Wilson on there? Is he not on this one? I know he works
I was going to say I don't think he is. I don't think it was possible to get him on. There's a lad making his debut though, Ellis Corey, who is another one that trains with Pete Shepperson.
Yeah.
And speaking to Pete off the record, so he's going to kill him. He's going to kill him for saying
it's now on the record, but okay.
No, what he mentioned, he was just I think Ellis has come from maybe the kickboxing or a Muay Thai background, but he said he's really adapted well to this boxing, and
I guess that's a bit like Kay Redfern as well. He branched out in different.
Yeah, he says he's picked up the sort of basics and the traditional stance of boxing really, really well, but he still brings that little level of unorthodox movement, and it's always interesting to see. I know Ahmed Ibrahim up at MTK Scotland, he did the same. I think he came from a kickboxing background. He took to like he took to water really. So it'll be interesting and exciting to see if Alice can do the same.
Just want to give a special mention to one fighter as well that's also on this show, and that's a guy that excuse me, we know very well, and obviously you know better than me because you used to go to school with him. A guy called Paul Gidney, who, if those of you who've been following us for a while on Twitter and Facebook and checking out our website will know that Paul's, we're not going to too much detail here, but it's I guess it's well documented now that Paul's been through a bit of a tough time lately. His daughter was suffering from cancer, so he's had to, who's thankfully now fully recovered, I believe. He had to put his career on hold for a bit. He had a fledgling 2-0 career. So it's absolutely brilliant to see him back on Saturday, and I know Mal Gates has been active on social media and he's been trying to draw up support for Paul from local businesses, because he's a Gateshead lad and it's in Darlington, and it was just great to get Paul a fight on this show, and thankfully it seems to have came to fruition. So brilliant after everything he's been through family wise, that he can now get his boxing career back on track, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. He's
great lad as well.
He's one that obviously Mal's got massive amount of praise for in terms of what he's been through, but also his attitude and just that hard work and dedication to the sport that we were talking about earlier.
His nickname's the Dog. I don't know. I think that's due to his work rate. I think Mal's always said
relentless.
Mal said he's like a sponge. He just takes it all in. He says he's an absolute pleasure to deal with, and it's great to see Paul back out. And I think a win here, coming up to Christmas with his family, his young family, would just mean the absolute world to him. And credit to Mal Gates and Steve and Paul and everyone putting together, and the local businesses that have helped him out. It's fantastic, and we wish there was more we could do if we had money. Well, we have got money. I just mean as a website and what have you. Well, I'm just being paid as a website. We've featured him heavily on social media. So any help that's came forward, then
from a boxing point of view, you've already said that he's an undefeated fighter. 2 wins from 2. He's boxing in and around the featherweight division. And he's one who, as I say, talking Chrissy Wood, there's 3 fights fighting for Northern Area. There's no reason that Paul can't come back, get a win and get himself in among that mix, whether it's at that, whether I don't know if he could make super bantam or featherweight or in and around that division, and get himself in the mix,
the
Northern Area title, no reason why not.
It's just great to get him a fight, and I know it's down here in Dalton, but I'm sure he'd bring some fans from Gateshead, and good on him. I'm pleased to hear, and I'm pleased for Mal to get one of his fighters out before the end of the year. I know they basically live in the gym, that those lot, and even when they haven't got fight dates coming up, his gym's always absolutely buzzing. They're such a close-knit gym down there in South Shields, so I'm sure they'll all come down as well, and I'm over the moon that he's out, so we'll keep you updated on that next week. To see how that goes. I'm looking forward to it though. Again, it'll probably be the last show that me and you are at this year, I believe, together.
It will be.
So again, it'd be great to come down on Saturday afternoon and be ringside for that. And again, thank you to Steve Wraith for allowing that to happen.
And just bring it back to Neil Hepper slightly, and then we'll take it off because I don't know where we're going to go next. But one fight that had been mooted for him a couple of times was the Peter Cope fight. And I know you wanted just to touch on how Peter got on at the weekend. I
do, unfortunately. They need no introduction to Cope brothers and Peter, and I was gutted for him, to be honest. He lost, unfortunately, down on a Steffi Bull show in Doncaster. He was fighting Andy Townend, and he suffered a defeat down there, a stoppage defeat, which
he'd already lost previously.
He lost previously to him, and there were signs that, the signs are obvious. Pete was boxing better than ever, really. It was shown on the Next Gen show when he fought Highland, and we weren't at the show on Saturday, but we've seen on social media that Pete said he was boxing well until he got dropped, really, which is a shame because he's a lovely boxer, Pete, and as I said to you last week, North East boxing was a huge debt of gratitude to the Corps, really. They're proper boxing people in the truest sense. They're all lovely kids and massive family, and they bring big numbers everywhere, and I'm just devastated for Pete because I think he was in absolutely brilliant shape, and I think his recent displays, even though he lost, I'll say inverted commas, lost against Highland, he really fancied this, and I think he fancied himself to sort of outbox Townend, but unfortunately we all know his power, and he's a big puncher, and it just seems like that's what's caught him out in the end. But again, it's not nice when you see boxers like him giving themselves like a hard time on social media and I'm sorry to everything. They feel like they've let people down, and of course he hasn't.
Oh no, not at all. He's not let no one down whatsoever. Like, as you said, it's boxing. It happens. Townend is a big puncher. He obviously carries power in his hands, and again, anyone can get clipped, anyone can get caught. We haven't seen it, so I can't comment too much on sort of how it was going, but
credit to Peter
Cope. He's always at risk, and he's took the fight on the road.
He doesn't duck anyone. He's fought Mitchell Smith, he's fought Highland, he's fought Townend twice, and good on him for getting out there, and maybe the results haven't gone his way, but it's better than padding his record out against local, against journeyman in Hartlepool, and and he's doing it, he's getting out there, and I don't think it'll be the end we see of Peter, and nor should it be, and the last we see of Peter, sorry. But again, like I said about James Bond. James Bond. As I said about James, we are impartial as such, but we're passionate about North East boxing, and it's not nice, is it, seeing people like and people like you like getting beat like that, but it's just a shame. But credit to Peter for taking the fight, and let's go again next year. I'm sure Jaffers and Fannin, and they'll all rally around Peter, and he'll get back out, and so he should, because he's got a lot to give, especially in North East boxing. So
he's undoubtedly a talented fighter.
Of course he is. The Highland fight demonstrated that. Just there's no shame in getting beat off Townend.
He's done it at that local area. There's no reason that he can't get back in.
No, of course
amongst the sort of English title level. And
definitely not. Yeah.
No reason whatsoever. Why not? And wish him all the best.
Yeah, I know Lewis Ritson mentioned him, didn't he, the other week in our interview, and he was full of praise for him for the sparring they have together and stuff. But yeah, I'm sure Pete will enjoy a good Christmas now with his family and go again next year. And let's hope that happens, and let's wish him all the best for that.
So from lightweight to heavyweight.
Right.
One heavyweight bout that won't be taking place this year is the rematch between David Haye and Tony Bellew. I think we hinted at this because there'd been rumours on social media when we were doing the podcast the last week, or even the week before possibly. We didn't really want to comment until anything was finalised.
But this
unfortunately, it's now been finalised that, depending on which rumour you believe, David Haye was doing an exercise on some stairs, fell, went to grab the banister and has damaged his bicep.
You know me.
That was the official line. That was the
official line,
so you can't really.
It was the official line that everyone said.
Speculate too much.
Like, it's hard because your instant reaction, as I'm sure everyone else's out there is to roll your eyes and go, oh, here we go again. Haye pulls out of a fight, but you know, it just seems. I watched the IFL interview with Eddie Hearn and Coogan, and he's just even Eddie Hearn was, you know, Haye went to see him face to face, and he was absolutely devastated, and you know, it has a knock-on effect to everybody. You know, David Haye, devastating for him, but again, his intentions are to come back, and you know, I see by the look on your face, you're sceptical about that.
I'm sat rolling my eyes there, just as you said that.
If he wants to, then you've got to go with it. I mean, if you know, if you want.
Well, the reason I'm
Let's see what happens,
a bit of a cynic, yeah, and again, I'm absolutely no one to tell David Haye what to do with his career or to sort of stop the money-making opportunities that he's going to have.
Yeah.
The reason I'm so cynical, I think, is because it's not hindsight now. This is what a lot of people probably predicted and said. I mentioned, I think if anyone who's followed us on social media and sort of seen my tweets, I mentioned that I couldn't see how, from the injury that he suffered reportedly before the previous Bellew fight, he's got previous in terms of pullouts against other opponents, how he could have recovered enough to get in the ring with Tony Bellew and be anywhere near the best David Haye. I still believe a prime David Haye or something close to it would have beaten Tony Bellew in the first fight. But I don't see how he can put himself through or put his body through the camp needed to get that level of performance and then the fight as well.
Apparently he was in excellent condition. I know people are going to say that, but I know the Sky cameras were down there, and you know, Johnny Nelson was saying like he was just extremely impressed, and he was fit to the core. That was his comment, and he was showing Johnny Nelson new things that he'd learned, and even things that Johnny Nelson had never seen or heard of, and you know, apparently he did.
Johnny Nelson was making McGregor and Mayweather credible because it was on Sky.
I know, but I'm just saying.
You can't take that seriously.
I'm not, but I'm just going off from what I've heard, and you know, it is devastating.
You paid your 20 quid already, is that what it is?
It's just devastating for everyone involved, and you know, you've got to think of there's Tony Bellew. I was gutted for him because he's been through a lot personally, and he lost his brother-in-law, which I didn't actually know until last week. You know, and against everyone's wishes, he was going ahead with the fight. He was, you know, going from Sheffield to Liverpool daily. You know.
Yeah, I heard an interview, and that's like
just
that's his mentality, and David Haye was one of my favourite fighters. He was absolutely amazing. Yeah. His run through cruiserweight and then obviously up into heavyweight.
Yeah.
But recently, since we went to the Mark Damori show, and he's had those 2 comeback fights, and whether you like Bellew or loathe him, everything he said in the build-up has rang true to the first fight. I mean, the fact that you're saying Haye's passed it, his record since coming back isn't anything to prepare him for a competitive fight, and that's what it proved to be. And you think, well, has Haye been taking it easy in the gym to try and preserve himself? You're saying there that yes, he'd lost loads, he'd lost weight, he was quicker than the previous bout, he was sharper, but at the end of the day, he's still picked up a severe injury.
Of course,
and it's his bicep. It's nothing to do with his Achilles. So. Different parts of his body are seemingly letting him down.
He seems to be breaking down.
And it must be heartbreaking for him mentally that his body, he's at that stage in his career now, late 30s, where his body isn't capable of being what he wants it to be or what he needs it to be.
It's a massive shame for everyone, you know, Haye, Bellew, the undercard, you know, loads. It's just fans who booked hotels. And
well, that was it. Lewis Ritson was one, and just that's obviously a local example to us. He was one fighter who
that actually hadn't been officially confirmed yet, because you know
rumoured to be on the undercard.
It was going to be, and he said it, but it's just a massive shame, and you know, and I think in the immediate aftermath, you had people like, you know, Dillian White saying, "Oh, I'll fight Bellew on the 17th," and you think, well, just back off a minute, you know. You've got to think of the emotional toll this has probably had on people like
Tyson
Fury. Tyson Fury, he hinted it next year, but just going, there was no way, you know, Tony Bellew was well within his rights not to fight anyone on the 17th, going through what he's been through personally, you know, and there was, like, it's the mental effect of it as well.
But we discussed previously who
with family issues.
Sort of the winner of Haye-Bellew would face, and we said then it's not like Bellew especially, if he wins, he's not going to be going after a Wilder or a Joshua. He's already sort of made it clear he respects Joshua too much, they're too close. That's his decision. I think personally Joshua's just too big. And it's the same with Wilder, he said, seeing Wilder in person, he's too big.
But on Soccer AM on Saturday, he was called, well, he responded to Fury's call out by saying, yeah, I'll fight him, he's desperate down, come on, bring it on, I'll fight him next year, which I thought them two were friends, you know. And but, you know, I thought they were tight, Bellew and Fury, sorry.
Didn't Fury called him out ages ago when he was talking about him and David Price? He was like, oh, you and UK lover.
Yeah, he did, but after he beat Haye, I'm sure I can remember Fury offering him congratulations and stuff, but anyway,
possibly, yeah.
Let's see, and obviously Tyson's...
mutual hating of Haye, I think, there.
Tyson's just signed with MTK in an advisory role this week, which I thought that was really positive news. It actually seemed something official, rather, you know what I mean? It was an official announcement rather than just hearsay and is he back, is he not?
And videoing himself doing karaoke.
Oh, he's brilliant, I love the fella, me. But, you know, it's good to see that happening, and maybe they'll give a bit of structure to his career now going forward. I know he's got his hearing is in December as well, which hopefully one step closer, and you know, without getting my hopes up, it does seem like Tyson's coming back now. And hey, if Tyson, Fury and Tony Bellew want to get it on, then go for it. You know, because Tony Bellew needs a fight now. Whether that is going to be David Haye in March or May, I think it was end of March or beginning of May with the 2 dates muted. So he needs to fight Tony Bellew. You're talking about, he's probably got 2 or 3 fights left max now, Bellew.
He
needs big
he's
fights.
He's looking to cash out, and I don't mean that in a negative,
he knows
disparaging sense.
So he should be.
That's the only reason he's at heavyweight, is to get those money fights. And like, fair play to him. He's obviously grafted for years and years to provide for his family, and he's now at the point where he can do that for the rest of his life in 1 or 2 fights now. So he's only going to be looking for the most lucrative options, and
it's just it's a shame. It's a shame again for everyone involved. You know, emotions run high, and especially when you've put yourself through a camp. I can only imagine how, you know, he was coming towards the end of that camp basically, or 10 weeks into it, and it's devastating for everyone. And as I say, especially the undercard. I know Eddie said he's going to maybe look to put a show on December the 16th, but I guess that needs to hurry up and be mentioned if that's true. I have my doubts whether it will be. There is a show at Your Call on the 13th, but imagine putting that undercard at Your Call. It'd be the best show Your Call's ever seen. And I know Fielding Scotland's definitely off for now, and whether we can manage
it's
to
salvage... It's a tough one, isn't it? Because,
you know, the people lower down on the undercard and everything, can try and salvage them and fit them in, because some of the fighters need to fight. That's it. Obviously he's going to do 2 shows in a week, which is brilliant.
It must be hard to balance though, if you predicted and accounted for a pay-per-view show that's going to do good numbers, or they're obviously hoping and expecting it is, to then not have the main event. Because to be honest, the undercard itself wasn't... I think the last time I saw it, there was a lot of TBA in the away corner, and we've joked about that before, but
it's just whether,
with a pay-per-view event like that, it's sold purely on Haye-Bellew.
I don't mean have the show...
The undercard's irrelevant, isn't it?
I don't mean have the show at the O2, I just mean will he look to have find another venue.
Well, that's what he's going to have to do, isn't he, and weigh up whether it's worth it or not, because he's obviously taking a hit, not having a pay-per-view show. Or
make the Your Call show on the 13th even bigger and fit some of the lads on there. Some of the lads who are desperate for fights on there, which, hey, I'm all, you know, it'd be an absolutely fantastic Wednesday night show, that on Sky. Imagine all them fellas on the Your Call undercard, which is a good show in itself, you know. Katie Taylor, world title defence, Martin J. Ward, European title fight, I think...
It's very much a Your Call small show at the moment. A good one, but
it's got a European title fight.
But then you think, could they then elevate that with a few, maybe 1 or 2 editions really, in some competitive fights?
Interesting to see what he does. But yeah, just to sum up, I guess as much as people, you know, will roll their eyes.
Like anything, when a fight gets cancelled,
we've got to
downer for everyone really involved, isn't it?
We've got to give David Haye again the benefit of the doubt. If he wants to come back. And he wants to, you know, if he's adamant, which he seems to be, and you can only take it from what you hear, can't you? If he seems adamant that he wants to come back and give it a go, then let's just watch this space, I guess, and keep an eye out. But just to reiterate, yeah, it's a massive shame. It was a night that I was really looking forward to, but let's see what happens next year. It's fascinating to see what happens with Bellew, especially, and whether David Haye will come back. But it's a shame. Speaking of big UK fights, a one that was officially announced last week, and the one which tickets have going on sale tomorrow, I believe, is the semi-final of the World Boxing Super Series between George Groves and Groves-Eubank Jr. in Manchester. That is on Saturday, February the 17th.
There's been a lot of debate, shall we say, about that being held in Manchester. There have been two sort of southern fighters, but for us, that is absolutely brilliant
that's
news.
Brilliant.
In fact, it's a lot more easy. It's an easier commute than London. Cheaper than London.
Yeah, I think
so we'll definitely be looking to get down for it.
And it falls in your week off work, your half-term week as
it
well. It
does indeed, yeah. So we've got the build-up as well. Hopefully,
we'll try and
obviously speak to who we need to with Team Sauerland and get our try and arrange some access to the build-up events, the press conference, the weigh-in, the media workout, because we will be available that week.
No,
so
certainly, and it's probably...
We're definitely looking to take advantage of that.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I've earmarked that as well myself to do. Hopefully we can both get down and cover that as best we can, but just again, credit to Sauerland. I know the tickets have started at £30, which is an incredible price for, I know they'll be in the gods or what have you, but £30 for a major show like that is, it's cheaper than most small hall shows, and I just think, just by cutting it, by that extra tenner or five, and you think, because the undercard won't be great, I say great as in it won't be, how do I word it, like a matchroom or Frank Warren undercard, it'll be,
it won't be great.
It'll just be maybe, fighters that you aren't too immediately familiar with.
Yeah, it's not going to be your big names, is it really? There aren't going to be your household names on that undercard.
Nope.
It's a case of, I think the format of it, the tournament, doesn't lend itself to that. They're obviously paying big bucks to get the fighters in the tournament.
Yeah.
And then it's a case of, right, well, what can we sort of salvage? Who can we, not cobble together, but who can we put together on a budget that's going to make for some fairly competitive fights at a decent level?
I think one fight that is, I think now officially confirmed is Isaac Lowe versus Ryan Walsh. Seems to be the chief support, which I'm all for. I think it's a really good domestic fight. That domestic sort of for two fighters who are looking to get towards world level again, and pleased about that one. But I'm just pleased that Groves-Eubank is happening. I think the build up will be absolutely fantastic. I think starting in the new year. I think they're both, how do you put it, divisive characters maybe, and and I always say British boxing needs characters, and those two certainly are. Groves is never really in a dull build up, and nor is Eubank.
Nor are they in a dull fight.
No,
really.
No, he's not. No, neither.
I think the styles will mesh really, really well. Obviously, we'll cover it in more depth the nearer we get. But my initial instinct, and I'm hopefully going to stick to my guns, I think Groves might be a little bit too much for him in terms of his experience.
Mm-hmm.
A big if is whether he can get his jab going. As I say, we'll expand on that a bit more near the thing. But I think if Groves gets his jab going like he can do or could do, it could pose some big problems for Eubank.
I think my Groves was my tip for the whole tournament, to be honest with you, and I can't go back against that now. So I'm going to go with that, but it is a genuine 50-50, really, really world-class, good fight. I'm immensely looking forward to it.
Between two Brits, as you said.
It's brilliant, honestly it is. And I think it is one that we've already looked at and thought, we fancy a bit of that. So we'll try and get down to Manchester in that fight week and take as many as the pre-fight activities.
Do you not feel? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
they might have missed a trick by putting Eubank's previous outings on ITV box office, and I think was Groves Cox on box office as well.
I think so, yes.
So if they put those both on ITV, terrestrial TV, ITV4 perhaps, really built them up, and it could have done massive numbers. I think it still do great numbers.
I think it'll sell out of Manchester, yeah, certainly, yeah.
Such a competitive fight. Yeah. That's what it is, a competitive fight at the top level of the game, and you can't really ask for more than that. So
I do totally agree with what you're saying. That's my thoughts. They should have, quarterfinals of that. There was never any need to have pay-per-view fights.
And to be honest,
on ITV for me.
On paper, the super middleweight tournament, you had Eubank coming up from middleweight. Obviously Groves is a big enough name in there, but besides that, there's not really. Callum Smith's on the other side of the bracket, and provided he wins, then again you've got another all British clash for the winner of the tournament.
Yeah, definitely. It's an arena fight. The winner, it's not a stadium fight. It's not Froch Groves 2 or whatever. But it is massive. And the build up should be good. Certainly, it'd be interesting to see how tickets sell. I think, as I say, starting at £30 for the cheaper tickets is brilliant, and I'm expecting them to fly out really. So it's something that I'm really looking forward to, and hopefully that we'll both be able to cover in detail close at the time as well. So it certainly should be good.
got a very tenuous link to our next little topic for discussion.
Go on.
So we're talking there about the Super Series of boxing and Super Middleweight division and the Cruiserweight tournament running simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
One division I know has been sort of hot for discussion on the... I'm going to go for that again.
This hamster's really enjoying itself here. It's having a drink if anyone's wondering.
I don't think they were.
No.
So a tenuous link for our next... How is it so? A tenuous link for our next topic of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
We're just discussing the tournaments there, the Super Middleweight one and the Cruiserweight. I know on social media and among the sort of hardcore fans there's been a bit of debate about which division would be the one to have a tournament in next. And I think right up there it would be light heavyweight.
Definitely, yeah.
I know we mentioned that in terms of competitive fights in the division being wide open. Sergey Kovalev came back this weekend and, to be honest, impressed in a fight where I think he was expected to impress. He was expected to win.
Well, he gained it's the world title fight, wasn't it, at Madison Square Garden, and it was a second round stoppage. And again, I'm not sure.
Shabransky was not really an opponent I didn't think anything of.
No.
In terms of was he going to come near Kovalev. Kovalev's done exactly what he needed to do. Got him out there in impressive fashion. I think, to be honest, there's been a lot made of Kovalev and his supposed demise. I mean, he's lost 2 fights to Andre Ward, arguably won one of them. It's not like he's sort of slipped up against someone he was supposed to beat easily. He's lost to a pound for pound great.
I think it's hard to see. It's hard to take from Saturday what you've learned about the new Kovalev. It's a second round knockout, so I guess those questions will be answered in time, and when it'll be answered when he steps up in class. Opposition, class. But I read a fascinating article with him last week, and I think I retweeted it. It was brilliant. Just all about his new regime. He's gave up booze. He's sorted his diet out. He said he was drinking quite heavily.
Well, John David Jackson said that he was drinking in camp quite a bit.
He said he had a bit of a blowout, I think, after the Ward fight. Went home and he crashed his car. Quite a bad crash, and I think that sort of totally changed him. He was saying, and he's really dedicated himself now. So again, it's great to see him back in a Super Series tournament between light heavies would be fantastic. Obviously, you've got him, you've got Bivol, you've got Beterbiev.
Beterbiev, Barry Jacks obviously stepped up.
Adonis Stevenson, if Adonis decides to fight anyone of note.
One of the biggest ifs in boxing.
There's rumours that you will. There's rumours that you fight Barry Jack, I believe, but again, rumours at this stage.
The only problem I think with getting him, well, not the only problem, but one of the main problems is the money he's been making for his sort of
routine
BS. I was going to say bullshit, but routine
he's great to watch.
defences.
He's a good fighter, He destroyed Bellew.
He's a phenomenal fighter. He's got good power. He's awkward, but there's obviously something there where whether it's his team, whether he's made enough money and he's content that he's not challenging himself. But the others, as you say, they all seem like they're open to fighting each other.
Especially Kovalev. The first fight with Ward was a classic. It was brilliant.
Well, that's what I mean. You spoke about Kovalev there, and I still think that.
I think he's the man to beat.
I think that's exactly what I was going to say. I still think he's over his record and ability that I've seen.
Yeah.
He's currently at a level above. But you've got the likes of Bivol and Beterbiev who are world champions and haven't had 15 fights each yet. So they're obviously in a position where they're thinking, right, we're willing to challenge each other, we'll get in the ring and they'll be more than happy. And I think one ingredient that really excites me about that division is they all carry power. Yeah. To quote Tony Bellew there, but they're all heavy-handed. They're all big hitters with a lot of knockouts and stoppages on their records.
Well, you seen the Bivol stoppage of Broadhurst, didn't you?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. And then you put them in together, and it can only blend well. A bit like the Cruiserweight tournament that's going on at the moment. You've got a lot of heavy hitters mixing it up together.
And I think if you're a fighter as well, and you've seen the success of the super middleweights and the cruiserweights, and how it generates interest and it gets people talking, and I don't think there's anyone out there, if you're a boxing fan, who's got any criticisms or shouldn't have any criticisms of any of these tournaments that the Sauerlands have put together. I think it's fantastic, mate.
I've got one.
Go on, shoot.
You're saying you're not a boxing fan if you've got any criticism. The only one, and it's a tiny little thing,
go on,
is how spread out it's been. And we're talking about the lack of quality supposedly on the undercards.
Yeah.
Could they have put a cruiserweight bout and a super middleweight bout on the same card somewhere? Because they're not particularly fussy about where they're putting them. We had that, was it Dorticos Kudryashov out in Texas, I think it was, or somewhere in America.
Yeah.
You've got a Cuban and a Russian. Could they not have fought on an undercard of Groves-Cox or...
That's a good point, yeah.
Obviously there's a lot to deal with and things, but I think it would have tied it together a bit smoother, a bit nicer.
No, that's a fair point.
But again, it all comes down to money at the end of the day.
What's your thoughts on the British light heavyweight scene? I think is it a division? Do you think that maybe it's not as rich in depth as say maybe super middleweight? It's are we lacking depth and quality in that? I know Frank Buglioni's the current champion.
I think at the top level at the moment we are definitely. I think Frank Buglioni is a good British champion. Definitely. But he's stepped up previously to world level and not had that success. Again, there's no disgrace in him losing to Chutinov, a very good, tough game fighter. Yeah. But I'm thinking there, because obviously you put that question to me and I'm wondering whether, is there anyone that I can see stepping up? Yeah, I think Anthony Yarde is probably the most touted at the moment, but I've made my thoughts on him quite clear that he needs to fight someone of quality. It's all very well knocking his limited opponents out, but would he comfortably beat a Buglioni at the moment? I don't know.
I know Jose Burton probably wouldn't duck anyone and he'd love the Buglioni rematch, I guess, but again... we'll have to see how that
again,
it's a fight I'd like to see.
It's just a case of maybe seeing in a year's time have one of those from that trio. Maybe think longer term, Jake Ball, someone like that. Would they step up?
I tell you, if you mentioned there Jake Ball, and that's a fight that's really sort of caught my imagination. Actually, on the Wednesday the 13th, Matchroom show at your call, you've got Jake Ball going up against Miles Shankman, which is a fight. One of my favourite scenes, I guess, is a crossroads fight. Between those two, I think maybe Miles has got the bigger calibre, I guess. Former British title challenger, and but Jake's an up and coming fighter who's bounced back quite well from a defeat, and I think that's a fascinating fight. That on the 13th at your call. That's one I'm really looking forward to. That.
Yeah, same. And again, it's two lads with a decent amount of power, and I'm not just going over that old ground there. I think it adds a bit of an intrigue when you're watching a fight and you know both of them have the potential to end it early.
It is. It's two fighters that we've interviewed in the past. I think in our first year of doing British Boxing Blog, they were both really accommodating, and we've met them both, and they're nice fellas. So again, that should be a really good fight. That one. I think that could be the fight of the night. That night at your call.
So on to is it listeners? Is it followers? What we're going with? I think
they're all listeners
now. If you're actually sat listening to this.
If you do want to get involved, obviously we love the interaction. You can get us on Twitter or use our hashtag AskBBB. By all means, get involved. The more the merrier. We love it.
Well, we've got one from our regular contributor, the Boxing Madman.
Good lad.
It says, Manuel Charles, the newest member of the heavyweight and inverted commas Champs Club. Thoughts?
Thoughts are that it had... Oh God, I love boxing and I'll watch anything, but I didn't watch this on Saturday night. I was hungover from Kasabian, as I mentioned. It was on Box Nation, and I didn't see it, and he won, and I get it. We could probably spend... It's alright, man. We could probably spend a whole podcast discussing the WBA and the titles and the regular titles and the super titles, but let's cut the bullshit. He's not a world champion, is he? Maybe he's on paper he is, but he's it's amazing really that we're even talking about this, Well,
that's the thing.
It's a B or C level heavyweight fight.
Joshua's the WBA champion as far as I'm concerned. He's the super champion, whatever they want to call it. Everyone who has any clue about boxing knows that he's the WBA version of that champion.
Agreed,
What I disagree slightly with is the fact that people are saying it's the WBA that is the mockery. To me, they're no worse than some of the others. Every organisation has their intercontinental, their European, their own version of an interim title. WBA are probably a little bit worse with their super regular belts that they've got. But at the end of the day, it comes back down to money. They're charging fees for those sorts of fights. The promoters know they can make more money off a world champion. Again, those inverted commas coming in.
That's it, yeah.
And just what you said, we need to cut through it all.
Be interesting to see if
it infuriates me.
If Tyson Fury maybe looks at him for a bit of a warm-up fight early next year. I don't know. He's got to fight somebody and he won't go straight into a big fight. Is it someone
possibly
he look at?
Sharon Briggs, what's his space?
Christ, imagine that build-up. It's I don't know. I take it with a pinch of salt. For credit to Char for winning the fight. Maybe he's having a bit of a career renaissance. I don't know, but he's not an elite level heavyweight
he's
for
not
me.
a world champion for me either.
He's not, so that's my answer to that.
They're
short and sweet. Yeah,
there are thoughts on that one. I think, to be honest, I could talk for a whole podcast episode on my own about.
If anyone disagrees with that, I'll be massively surprised, because I'm sure most boxing fans, and especially inverted hardcore fans, it's one of the biggest irritants. And I'd be massively surprised if anyone's proclaiming my world chart to be I'm the new at this point.
I think even Mrs. Chow would struggle with that one.
by all means, get in touch and let us hear your thoughts on that.
And our only other question this week, this is a blinding question, and again, it's another question that could lead to a podcast episode all on its own. I think we could talk for hours about this subject.
I think we will in future. I think it's I know the question you're going to ask. Yeah, I think it's an issue that we're passionate about, and anyway, go on.
So, Fighting Chance PR have said, a good question for you this week.
Thanks, Colin.
Is how important do you feel it is for boxers to embrace social media? It helps with popularity, building a profile, fan base, ticket sales, sponsorship, opportunities, exposure, so much.
He's put it perfectly. It's massively important.
Yeah, if you're going to send in a question, don't answer it for us. We've got nothing to add to that.
It's perfect from Colin. I know it's obviously an area he specialises in, PR. I just think it's vital. I think it's absolutely vital. I think if you're a boxer, especially a local level boxer, a national level boxer, and you're not on Twitter and you're not on Instagram or Facebook, then you're holding yourself back. You really are. And there's people out there like Haye-Bellew PR and there's Jordan James Foster's company, and things, Fighting Chance PR, and who will help you out massively. And I think you need to get, especially if you're a ticket seller and you're on ticket deals, then get yourself on social media and give people a glimpse into your world, and let them know what you're doing, let them know how your training's going, your diet's going. People like to see behind the scenes, and I always remember joking with Anthony Fowler about this on Twitter once. I was like, he's on Instagram anymore, he'd break it. He's got an absolute massive, and he's talking an elite level Olympian who's just turned pro.
But he's really got it.
He's totally got social media. He's great at it.
2017, obviously 2018 now. Social media, it's huge, and it's not just for boxers, but I think I've mentioned before that Twitter especially is really good for boxers, and not just to show sort of behind the scenes as you touched on there, but just their personality to come across a bit and relate to the fans. And
totally agree.
I think boxers are more adept at it than many other sportsmen, footballers in particular. You've
got websites like ourselves though, and people like us and New Age Boxing and different people like that who'll interview anyone. We'll shine the light on anyone. We'll interview
the lads at Fight Talk, doing a cracking job. They've had some brilliant exclusive interviews recently.
There is literally nobody that in the world of boxing or British boxing, whatever you want to call it, that we won't speak to. Everyone's worth an interview, and we'll plug it as we'll help people out as much as we can.
And don't just take our word for it. Look at the examples. You've mentioned Anthony Fowler there. I mean, two others that I was thinking of when I read the question. Dave Allen, who's obviously started his own Fightcast, his podcast.
Big shout out to that, by the way.
I've listened to the first episode. I'm still waiting to catch up to the Tyson Fury one, but absolutely cracking. But it's exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah, he's great.
He's approachable. He's down to earth. He's genuinely a funny man. And he's got a good bit of insight about the sport.
Yeah, he's played the social media card perfectly, Dave. And I'm not saying it's a card. I'm just saying he's used it to his benefit. He's used it to progress his career. He's used it to show off his personality.
He's sold tickets nationally that he otherwise wouldn't have done.
Honestly, it is. It's an area I'm very passionate about.
Look at the flip side of that. O'Hara Davis has used it again fully to his benefit. But the other side of it, he's come across and he's made a decision at some point. And I firmly believe that he's going to play the heel, as it's called in professional wrestling, or looking at the Mayweather model of people want to pay tickets and pay money, whether it's pay-per-view, whatever, eventually to see him lose. And
I think that's it.
He's generating his tickets and his money. He's made a massive purse in his penultimate fight, last but one fight. The Josh Taylor one, he made huge money by all reports.
Honestly, and even if you're your local level boxer, maybe you're not confident on your Twitters and your Facebook and your Instagrams, but there is companies out there now. I've mentioned PR companies who will help you. There's websites like ourselves. By all means, get in touch.
It's one of my money making ideas.
Well, that's it. We'll
taking over boxers' Twitter.
Yeah, we'll help anyone. We'll interview anyone. By all means, get in touch if you want us to do an interview or a feature piece on you, anything. It's one of the reasons we set up our site, and I just think it's massively important for, as you said, exposure, helping with ticket sales, personality, behind the seat, everything.
And I think not necessarily Twitter, but Instagram in particular, it's a very easy one to do.
Massive Instagram.
You can obviously Snapchat as well, the video and the photo side of it.
Yeah.
It takes absolutely nothing for you to be out in your morning run, take a picture.
But if you're with, like Lawrence Okolie's brilliant at it, and I know obviously people like Lawrence and Anthony Fowler have got the backing of Matchroom, etc., but they still do it. But if you're a smaller level local fighter, and you know it's a great name, it's a great way to get noticed and to give people a glimpse into your world. And I think, you know, more people should definitely get involved. And I think you're really holding yourself back. If you're not, it's, you know, there's nothing to be scared of. Just get involved in it. I am passionate about it, and I think it's an area that
another element of it I think that works really well is the iBoxing tickets. And I don't know how familiar you are with this, but basically it's
Kevin Campion's
it's basically a website that helps the small hall shows sell their tickets online. So rather than you driving around delivering tickets, obviously speak to your promoters, boxers out there, and get involved in that. I know there are a few sort of renowned and well-known local small hall promoters on there already, and surely it's easier for, again in this day and age, for someone, rather than you chasing them down for cash, they can buy tickets online and still register that they've bought them through you, so it counts towards ticket sales. But that's just another small innovative little idea that I'm furious that I didn't think of.
Fully behind it. It's
not just from a money making point of view. I just think that's a fantastic link, and obviously again it's bringing boxing into the modern age, into the social media age.
I think Colin, and thank you to Colin, he's a regular listener, and he always asks good questions, but he summed it up perfectly in his initial question there. There's literally no downside to it of boxers getting involved with social media. I think it's hugely important, and I know Martin at New Age Boxing wrote a passionate piece about this earlier. I know he's similar to us with his southern scene. He'll give those lads exposure all day long, and he's happy to do so. But yes, get in touch. You know, we'll interview anyone, and I think that probably leads us on to the plans for this week, I guess. As we touched on earlier, I'm hoping to get down to Fighting Chance Gym Gated tomorrow evening to catch up with the guys there. I know Fighting Chance, just touching on them, a great local promotional company, have unveiled their plans for 2018. So I think their first show's looking to be on the 3rd of March 2018. I think they've got some exciting news about a TV deal coming soon. So keep an eye out for that. We'll hopefully speak to Fighting Chance head honcho Lewis Pendleton this week, as well as Jamie Humble in the build up to the fight we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, Stephen's clearing his memory from his phone there for Lewis's interview.
So to speak. We'll be getting a camera in the new year, I'm sure. You know, do it properly. But again, it's always a pleasure to go down there. So I think that'll take us up until Saturday's show.
Yeah, so then this Saturday's show, obviously we've discussed that at length.
Final
speaking to obviously David Binns, as I mentioned earlier, we're definitely going to be heading into East Durham College and speak to the lads there. He says pretty much the sort of again, similarly to what you were saying with Mal Gates, they're just in the gym constantly, so again we'll make the effort to get there.
Maybe by the end of the year, early next year.
The end of the year.
Certainly. Again, Andrew's videos will be up soon from Friday night. Reaction to that. This podcast will be up very soon. And roll on Saturday, the final North East show of the year, which I'm really looking forward to. It's been a good year, and it's a good way to round it off, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It'll be a fantastic ending, as I say. It's one we're really looking forward to, especially the main event. But sort of whatever happens from our point of view, as I say, we are firmly on the fence for that one. It should be a great event, and I'd encourage anyone in the area or close to attend. It's something you can hear in our voice, that how passionate and excited we are getting about the social media side, but also local boxing. We continually bang on about this, but we set up the website to try and shine a light on the region's boxing.
We did.
We feel it's been undervalued for years.
Obviously, we're called British Boxing Blog, and we do cover the whole, there's nobody we won't speak to. We've got strong links in Scotland, and we're branching out, and, that's what we are.
Yeah, we didn't want to limit ourselves, but I think primarily we did want to showcase the North East talent, and when an event like this comes along and it's a genuine 50-50 fight between two undefeated boxers for a Northern Area title, that to us, in our sad little way, is as exciting as watching a sort of big world title fight on TV.
Totally agree, you've put it perfectly there. North East boxing is the winner when things like this happen, it's and I think maybe the last year and a half, it's gone from strength to strength on the basis now of fighters willing to put their records on the line and taking these fights, and it's not just padded out against journeymen. We're making some cracking Northeast, to quote Phil Jeffries, saying 50-50 fights up here now, and
but they are. That's exactly what it is. I don't think for 1 second that the boxers wouldn't want it, but again, you've got to give credit to the promoters and the management teams for getting involved and
again,
not being afraid to back it up.
Totally agree. And we're banging our own drum there, and we do our best. We both work full time, as people all know, and we cover as much as we can. But there's many other people up here that do the same. Pete Magazine were a big inspiration for us. Peter Mann, Craig Johns at the local Evening Chronicle. There is a good passionate core network of people up here who will give as much, shine a bigger light as possible on Northeast boxing, and hopefully long may that continue. And I look forward to seeing you on Saturday in Darlington.
Yeah, will do. I'll see you when you come back down. Thank you for listening once again.
Thank you again.
We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook,
SoundCloud,
got the website itself, SoundCloud, iTunes. We are everywhere. We're taking over. 2018 is our year. Coogan Cassius, watch out, they're coming to me. Thank you. Cheers, though. Thank you very much. Thank you.